Hey guys, Kneader here. Today we will be playing some Crimson Gray. Wait a moment. Now let me just get to it. Now we're back. Do I want to start or load? I guess we can start again. You've unlocked at least one bonus from previous games. This will make the positive outcomes more likely and negative outcomes less so. Do you want to play with those bonuses? Continue with the original balance, okay. Alright, I guess we can start off at the beginning again. John had always thought of himself as a stable person. Stability worked out well when he was just trying to not let the little things get him down. It wasn't so great when everything was crumbling around him. When the entire world started to seem gray and flat, then he began wondering if all that stability would kill him, and if he would care when it did. I'm actually deciding to start from the beginning again. Just for, spent so much. It's been like 2 months since I've live streamed. There weren't any highs or lows anymore. Whatever happened to him, John didn't feel happy or sad. He just... Hey, what are you doing spacing out, man? You're a real head case these days, John. You going to float away on us? Sorry, just distracted. A moment later, he started drifting away again. Even his friends' voices were nothing but buzzing in his ears, meaningless sounds echoing in his hollow shell. They weren't even really his friends. They were friends with the happy-go-lucky person he'd been at the beginning of high school. These days, they joked about him being no fun, but it was more than a joke. They'd get tired of him, find someone else, then he'd be alone. I wasn't sure whether or not that would be worse. Whoa, is that creepy chick staring at us? I think she is. Who's that anyway? Lizzie Doss. I think in our year, right? John, doesn't she have math with you or something? It took John a second to even register the question. They were staring at some girl who was staring back at them. Yep. Spent time. She looked the same as all the other girls in her school. Shire, maybe? She could probably hear them talking about her. He wanted to say something but kept silent. Damn, she is really staring. She's staring at us or John? I think it's him. You think she's a stalker? Yeah, those are some crazy eyes, huh? You better watch out, John. Oh, yep, because I remember Lizzie is the crazy one. You're a real sad sack these days, but you can do better than her. Shut up. Those words were past his lips before he could stop them. Why did he have to open his mouth now, of all times? But he couldn't let them keep talking about her like that. People called him creepy or crazy all the time, and he hated it. But after those 2 words, he stood there like an idiot. Even when something mattered to him, he couldn't pull himself together. After those, even when something mattered to him, he couldn't pull himself together. What's wrong with you, man? Don't say things like that about people you don't know. She's just hanging up here like we are. Uh-oh. She's giving us some serious crazy eyes. Just leave her alone, okay? She hasn't done anything to you. Sheesh, okay, man. You think she's going to fall in love with you as her handsome protector or something? That'd be just like John. You want to talk to the crazy girl? Be our guest. We're heading back to class. Go away, man. The way her eyes move, John thought that she was focused on him so intensely that she might not have even heard what the other said. Did it even bother her? He wished she could be like that instead of the small things sending him crashing into a state of worthlessness. But maybe she was like him, just capable of hiding it. John cleared his throat and walked up to check on her. Hey, sorry about them. They can be assholes sometimes. Well, I guess I don't have a lot to say. Sorry if we bothered you. John slunk away and cursed his own idiocy. She had been fine without him. He just made everything worse. There had been something hard in her eyes, a strength he didn't have. He had probably been projecting all of his weakness onto her in the first place. She wasn't like him, wasn't broken. She could shrug off the things his friends had said and get on with her life. At least that meant she could shrug off his annoyance too. She'd probably just forget all about him. Let's see if my voice acting's still good. I haven't done it for some time. Thank you! You're so kind! Such a kind person! The kindest person! The only person! I found you! I finally found you! I found you! Found you! Found you! Well, oh, holy! Oh well, sometimes I actually knew that was going to happen. The teacher's voice was incomprehensible, but John knew that he must be picking it up on some level. He wasn't sure how, but even though he stumbled through every day, he was doing okay in school. He could seem normal whenever he wanted to. It just didn't feel worth it. It looks like my voice acting's still intact after a while. That was almost the worst part. He seemed normal even though nothing was normal anymore. It wouldn't ever be normal again. What did Mrs. Smith say? High-functioning depression? Such an awful empty phrase. At least class was over now. He could go home, sleepwalk through his assignment, and then fall unconscious. At least for a few hours he could. Then he became aware of her. She was watching him. Maybe she wanted to thank him? No, he was being stupid. He'd done nothing worth thanking. More likely she wanted something from him. But most likely of all, maybe she didn't care about him and he was imagining the whole thing. She was still staring though. Well. Yeah, I will be back in a moment. Oh, I forgot to turn on the music thing on. Or the speaker thing. Yeah, well, I will be back in a moment here. Well, I'm back. Let's just get back to the Crimson Gray now. Well, after a little bit deciding, let's take a, let's see, a Gladiator? I guess it's, that one. To his surprise, she didn't seem to respond at all, just stared. Maybe stared through him. Maybe he was imagining the whole thing. He needed to get to his appointment anyway. She didn't want Mrs. Smith getting mad at him again. Mrs. Smith was one of the only people John could focus on. He wasn't sure how much good she actually did him aside from prescribing medicine, but at least she tried to help. Let me see if my, let's see if my, another part of my voice acting still works.
John, you're not looking so bad today. Did something good happen?
Well, looks like I'm still good at this voice. Okay.
A boy your age ought to be more interested in girls. Are you dating someone?
No, I can't focus on people.
Maybe I could prescribe you something for that. We don't have any on hand right now, but I could get it quickly. That's an advantage of having Goitek in town.
I don't want to take this medicine anymore. I don't think it's working.
Paroxetine? But that's the first one you've really responded to.
I feel worse. Everything is so great. Voices just echo. Can't I go back to a generic medicine?
John, you need to understand that you are deeply clinically depressed. It's my professional opinion that you should, under no conditions, go off your medication. When you're getting used to a medication, there can be some initial side effects. Sometimes things have to get worse before they can get better, okay?
Okay. All he heard was that he was too broken for any drug to fix. He was so worthless even the newest drugs from Cortex didn't do anything.
I'll renew your Paroxetine prescription, and we'll see about getting you a complimentary drug. We'll figure this out yet, John. Now, why don't you lie down over there and we can begin your session. Good, get comfortable. Did anything special happen during the day today?
No, it was a normal day. Therapy session quickly fell into a meaningless buzz. For a short time, at least he didn't feel the emptiness. Finally, or too soon, it was over. Mrs. Smith told him that he was doing well and sent him on his way. Well, at least I'm always wearing my kitty shirt. Like, you know, to present that I like cats. John slumped back home. His house was empty, like it always was. Ever since his mother left, his father had spent all of his time working. He did his homework, he ate, he cleaned the dishes, he sat in front of the TV and stared at it now turning it on. Somehow he dragged himself into bed and fell asleep. The routine used to be comforting, but now it was starting to erode his sanity. His mind had to crack eventually. Maybe it was already happening. For a second, he thought he saw a girl out the window. But no, there was nothing. Of course, there wasn't. He really was losing it. Another day. Oh, I forgot to turn on the... Let me just turn it to... First time I always forget that I have this behind me. Oh. Another day. He had to face it somehow. It seemed impossible until the moment he finally stumbled into class. School was the usual mindless buzz. There was a job fair announced in third period. as if that meant anything at all. Almost everyone in their school would either go work for Koitek, move away, or stay in town and become unemployed. John wondered which one of those would happen to him, but from a distance, as if he was thinking about some person he barely knew. His grades were good enough to get into Koitek, but the process was so competitive, no, he didn't have enough energy for that. He couldn't imagine moving away, looking at a job in a strange city. Most mornings, the most he could imagine was surviving the day. But his father wouldn't support him. His mother didn't want him. Once he graduated, there'd be no way he could stay with either of them. What would happen to him then? Would he just become homeless and sit there on the street begging for a change until one day he falls to death? Maybe that was all he deserved. John, are you alright? Sorry, sir, I'm paying attention, honestly. I didn't ask that, I asked if you were alright. I'm fine. Well, be sure to talk to your counselor if you're feeling bad, alright? We're lucky to have someone like Mrs. Smith with us. You had to keep it together. You remembered the lessons, but if people were starting to think something was wrong, his control was slipping. He had enough to visit his locker in between periods. There was more Paxatine there. He still had an extra dose left for the day. His locker was on the bottom row, so he always had to bend down, and there was a piece of paper sitting in the middle of his locker. Cheer up. Okay. That's all it said. Nothing on the backside, no other clues. Probably a girl's handwriting. Who left it? Well, it's Lizzie. Hey, did you see anyone messing with my locker? Huh? Did something get stolen? There's too many guys around here for me to notice. It might have been a girl leaving a note. Like a love note? Keep dreaming, John. You think any girl's gonna love your sorry ass? No, of course no one could love him. So you didn't see anyone. Okay, thanks. Hey John, are you going to tell me she's a Canadian? Huh, is there some joke I don't get here? Sometimes, if there's like some humor going on, sometimes I might not get it until like I look up something, up to like certain stuff. Okay, I'm heading back to class. See you later. And she's really hot, right? Your imaginary girlfriend sounds amazing. Okay, that's very rude of him. John knew he should probably just take more Paxatine and head back to class, yet he was still holding on to the paper. Wasn't sure why. It really could be a prank, one of those guys trying to trick him. If so, it would probably be followed by another fake note asking him to come under that stupid convention tree, or they let him in and laugh at him. But for a moment, he saw the girl watching him. Could it have been her? By the time he got to class, John had news her. She felt sorry for him. He must have looked pretty pathetic, and she recognized his misguided good intentions enough to feel pity. I guess I haven't done much voice acting yet. The rest of the school day passed more in a blur than usual. He might be delusional, but part of John hoped it wasn't a prank. He headed to his locker, not daring to imagine anything. There was another paper there waiting for him. They shouldn't say those things about you. Oh shit. It didn't even look like the same person's handwriting. The first had been a beautiful calligraphy. This one was a hurried scrawl. It was all a prank he he no longer had any idea where they were going with this. He'd already been beating himself over the wrong thing. So this was too much for John. He heads right home and gets some sleep before he cracked completely. The next day, John went to as early as possible when he approached his locker anxiously. He wasn't sure what he wanted to find. There was no note this time but a chocolate heart, but there was a chocolate heart wrapped in foil, set in the exact center of the bottom of his locker. John stared at it for a while, then slipped into his pocket and headed to class, even though he knew he would be far too early. There was no way he could eat it. If it was really a prank, they might have slipped a laxative or something inside of it. That was the kind of thing his friends thought was funny. But if it was that girl, it didn't matter now. What mattered was that someone clearly knew his locker combination and could get in whatever they wanted. That could be a real problem. He knew he should come up with a solution before tomorrow, but what? What should I do here? Well, I think I will probably choose to. I'll probably tell someone. I'm gonna tell Mrs. Smith. Yeah. Sometimes, okay, music's kind of interesting so far. Hey, kitty! Oh, yep, my cat's in the background if you hear it. Okay, John found Mrs. Smith in her office, and she gave him a friendly smile.
Everything okay, John?
I think someone is getting into my locker. They're leaving things in it.
What kind of things?
Just little notes. They're making me nervous.
Don't you have one of the notes?
Yes, right. While patting his pockets, he discovered that he must have left them back at his desk. Of course, he would screw even that up.
Are they really? Well,
You think I'm crazy, don't you?
you're under a lot of stress lately. Please make sure you keep taking your medication.
No, I'm serious. I don't have anything right now. But there really had been things in my locker.
I didn't say I disbelieve you, but we need more evidence to take action. You can always talk to me about it, okay? Especially if you get any kind of threat, my door's always open. Now, would you like to get a quick therapy session? You look like you need it.
John reluctantly agreed and lay down on the couch. He soon relaxed by the time he headed back to class with a note. He felt much less depressed. Mrs. Smith was probably right. The teachers couldn't help him with this. John left school at a brisk walk, finished his homework quickly, fell into bed. The world was still gray, but perhaps not as dark as it had been before. When he woke up the next day, he felt even better. Though these things would be funny so long as he kept everything in perspective. Maybe. Making an effort to set the mystery of the locker aside, John went in with his friends to the rooftop for lunch. They spread out on one side, enjoying the sight of the trees below. Midway through the meaningless conversation, John noticed that Lizzie was watching him from the far outside of the roof. Her gaze was even more intense than before, so he uncomfortably tried to ignore her and focus on the conversation. Looks like the confession tree's in full bloom, huh? You really believe those stories, true love and all that. It works, man. I got a buddy who just graduated. He swears he got so much bleep confessing under it. Well, if he keeps doing it, then it's not true love, is it? Come on. People have confessing here for years. You think seriously saying everyone would confess under a tree if it did nothing? Nah, man. I think it's a tree of lust. It doesn't guarantee true love, just getting laid. Okay? If that was true, way more guys would be into it. But it's mostly girls from what I've seen. What do you think, John? I don't know. Don't be like that. You dream of a girl confessing to you under that tree, don't you? Yeah. Like that crazy stalker chick, it make your all flutter if she confessed, wouldn't it? That tree's magic, man. I'm telling you, even a sad sack like you could get lucky if you confessed there. Don't be stupid. It's just a tree. I'm telling you, everyone goes to... Only because people like you keep telling these stories. There's nothing magic about that tree. People just believe it's special because everyone says it is. Girls think the tree's romantic, so of course they're more likely to agree there, and the guys would have to turn someone down in front of an audience. That's all it is. Shit, man, what is wrong with you today? With an attitude like that, you're never going to get a girl. You insulted the tree. That day, John couldn't get to a therapy appointment fast enough. Mrs. Smith smiled at him when he came in, but immediately saw he was unhappy.
Hey, okay, Jim? Perhaps you need to be a stronger formulation.
No.
Well, our session should make you feel better. Lie down and get comfortable.
Mrs. Smith, does Paxatine have any visual side effects? I should hope not. Cortex has the highest standards of every drug it puts out. Paxatine is nearing its final clinical trials. Are you having vision problems? John lay back and stared out the window. Was he seeing things differently, or was it all in his head? He stared a long time before he opened his mouth and started talking. Everything just feels so gray. So you are having vision problems? Not literally gray. It's just sky today. I remember when I was younger, I thought the clouds were beautiful. Now it's like there's just nothing there, nothing that matters. I look up, I just don't care.
That sounds more like a mental issue then. Why don't you get more relaxed and talk about it?
Taking a deep breath, John did his best. As usual, after talking with Mrs. Smith for long enough, he felt not better necessarily, but at least not miserable. The session went by in the flesh, and he had to head home. Shuffled through his routine easily enough, slept fitfully, and then returned to school barely more rested. But when he arrived, he found a huge crowd standing and staring. What's going on? You know that tree students like to confess under? The words made John shiver, even though he wasn't entirely sure why. He shifted to look through the crowd, and then he saw it. What the? Someone burnt the tree? Parts of the tree were still burning, the rest was charred. Ashes coated the ground near it. His throat was dry, as if ashes were filling it. What happened? The cops are coming to check it out, but the shop teacher said it looked like arson. Someone covered the tree in gasoline and burned it down. Well, I guess so that someone basically fired the tree. Well, sometimes my sense of humor can be a little bit... Sometimes I may tend to make some I'll make a similar sense of humor here. See, this is why we need cameras. I've been telling the principal for years. But does he listen to me? No one thinks. The words slid off his mind, and John turned away without even saying goodbye. Wasn't entirely sure what he was doing. He stumbled straight to his locker. When he opened his locker, he discovered the folded note in the exact center, like always. He stared at it for a long moment before unfolding it with his trembling hands. I didn't like that tree either. What? He stared at the words as if they were in foreign language. He wished he could avoid understanding the conclusion. Didn't it's that tree either. It was her. It had to be. None of his friends would be dancing. And what would be the point of a prank like that? What was the point for her? What did she think she accomplished? Should he tell someone? But this isn't exactly evidence. But he really wants her to get that much trouble? John decided he was being stupid like usual. He just needed to talk to her and find out exactly what was going on and plunge into this. That day, whenever he was in the hallways, he could feel her eyes on him. With every passing moment, he became more sure that she had burned the tree down. He wondered if a normal person would be afraid now, but for him, it barely penetrated his dumbness. He just wanted to find out what was wrong and put an end to it. It took until after school to find this chance. When teacher handed out assignments, he volunteered to clean the roof. He stepped onto the roof and headed to the far side. After a few seconds, he heard the door open again. He ignored it and instead climbed up to the tank. The upper area was meant to be blocked off, but the janitors had stopped putting the ladder up the ladder years ago. He had turned, and to his shock, she was already coming up the ladder behind him. Reaching the top, she held her hands close to her chest and shuffled her feet demurely, with a spark in her eyes. Hello, Lizzie. Are you never going to greet me?
Hello! I said it!
Why are you following me?
Because I like...
Could this girl really have burned down the tree? It didn't seem like she had it in her. Were you the one leaving me notes in my locker?
Yes!
How do you know my combination?
I watched you! Why? Did you try to tell Mrs. Smith? Don't you like me? I don't like her. She's always acting you. She's awful. She doesn't deserve you.
John realized that he was in way over his head, yet his mouth was still moving, asking the inevitable question. Why did you burn it down?
Because it was a stupid tree. You're so smart. You said it just right. It was awful and stupid, and I hate it. And hate it.
Okay, that's a lot of voice acting there.
It's all because of you, John. I could never do what needed to be done before. Now I can.
She wasn't stable. She wasn't even close. What had he gotten himself into?
I finally found you. You're the only one for me.
Part of him knew that he should do something. Run away, call for help yet? Why?
Huh?
Why do you care about me?
How can you ask that? You're the best person. The only person.
Bullshit. I'm just another high school boy. No, not even that. I'm worthless.
No. Don't say that.
I'm broken. My brain doesn't work right. Even the strongest drugs don't make a difference.
That's not true! No, that's not true, John! It's perfect! Perfect! How can you say these things?
The way her words flow together, addressing him directly one moment and in third person the next, bothered him almost as much as the look in her eyes. Whatever her issue was, it went deep. You're not well, Lizzie. You need help.
Ah! You said my name!
But I can't help you. I'm not worth anything to anyone. Just forget about me and find someone else to care about.
No, I can never! You're the only person who matters!
But why? You don't even know me. You don't care about me. I'm just part of your problem.
No!
It would be better if I was gone. Maybe you'd get better then.
That's not true! It's not! I love you, John! I always loved you! I've watched you! You're so good and got perfect and even to a girl like me!
He could barely even listen to her words. John found himself wandering closer and closer to the side of the building, and she followed him automatically.
You're so sad, but you're still good! I don't know how! You should be broken like me, but you!
I can't help you. If you want to help yourself, you need to forget about me and get real help.
No! No, don't say that! You're confused, yes, confused! Poor John is so depressed, he's not thinking straight! He doesn't understand how much I love him! He needs my help!
Okay. I guess she just pulled out a knife there. Okay. The world froze for a moment. The moment the knife glinted, and all he could do was stare at its edge. Oh, okay. She's got that yandere look in her eyes. Okay.
You needed someone to take care of you! I'll stop everyone who says unkind things about you! No! I should just take you home and keep you safe! They're safe! Yes, you need some help!
Where the hell had she gotten that knife? Would she actually use it on him? A second later, John realized it was a foolish thought. This girl had burned out a tree because he said it was stupid. He had no idea if there were any limits on what he might do. And would that really matter? He spent his nights lying in bed wishing he had never been born, wishing he had a way to end it all. Ah, you can't threaten me.
John! Get away from the edge! It's not safe!
He took several steps to the very edge before she could stop him and turned around to face her. The back end of his shoes hung off the edge of the building, nothing between it and a fatal fall. If my life matters so much to you, stop toying around with me.
No, you don't understand!
What do you even want? To stab me until I'm yours forever? Is that it?
Never! John is so good and kind! I would never need to stab him! Please come away
Maybe you have good intentions, but you need help. Unless you can get it, you can only hurt me.
I will. Whatever you want. I promise, just don't hurt yourself.
It was a lie, of course. She was just saying whatever it took to get him a step away from the edge. It was exactly how he imagined it would go. He stared at the edge for everyone to say all kinds of lies about how much he mattered to them, because he cared for the first time. They cared for not about him, but the idea of him. But the look in her eyes, that couldn't be faked. It might be a twisted love, but she loved him utterly. She needed help too. Maybe he could be the one to help her, assuming she didn't stab him. Maybe he could be the one to help her. Okay. But what the hell was he living for anyway? Lizzie, would you make a promise with me?
A promise?
I'll step away, I'll talk to you, or let you leave notes in my locker, or whatever it is you want. But you have to listen to me and get some help. Can you do that?
You promise? You promise you won't leave me if I say yes?
I won't leave you, Lizzie.
Forever?
The answer stuck in his throat, and he hesitated, wondering if he wasn't making a mistake in saying too much. But in the end, he swallowed it and nodded. Forever.
Ah!
Now, that the knife, and whoops! As he started to step away, John lost his balance and fell backward. Suddenly, he was in free fall. Nothing between him and cold pavement. Oops! Okay, looks like there's a crazy yandere face looking there. But at that moment, Lizzie lunged forward insanely fast and grabbed his wrist. Impossibly, she held him up. Her body was steady, yet somehow she had stopped his fall and held him up with one hand. Her eyes had held a mixture of unstable fear and twisted desire. In that moment, he knew it was absolute certainty if he had fallen, she would have thrown herself off with him, after him.
You can't die, John! You're the only one!
With that same incredible strength, she pulled him back up to the rooftop. Fortunately, she had left the knife behind where she lunged to catch him, but he was still anxious, being so close to her.
John almost died! John, I love you! I won't let anything bad happen to you!
It was clear she was completely unstable, but was she actually dangerous? She seemed to care about him more than anything. Or was he just so pathetic that he latched on to anyone who showed him even the slightest of affection? Worthless. You'll keep your promise, right?
Of course!
Then tomorrow we'll go talk to someone. See if we can't get you some medication. Is that okay?
If they what John wants! Of course it's okay!
Good then, perhaps.
But I want more than that! I love you, John!
Oh, you need some, Kitty, you need some help here. Oh, who's a good cat?
I love you, John! I told you over and over, don't you let me tell?
Oh, I got Kitty. Well, she was asking without the knife in her hand. Was there a good answer to that question? No, you had to think about it more logically. She wanted him to say yes, but that might make her worse. But the risk of saying no can be ignored either. Oh. Okay, hold on, I think I missed. Okay, now let's save it. Now I guess now I can just Alright, guys. I guess I'm like, I guess I just needed some time to get back into the game here, but well, I guess I'm sorry for everyone had a chance to chat in during this live stream. But, the comment section is always open. And I hope everyone has a great day. Bye, everyone. And I'll see you in the next live stream.